Now let me introduce the speaker. So the second, but somehow the first speaker is Tomas Byčkovas from Lithuania, who is going to ask questions and introduce closer the topic of positive campaigning. So Tomas, you have the word.
Yeah, so can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, great. Okay, so thank you for introduction, and today I would like to invite to discuss on a few questions. And before that, I would like to introduce you a little bit more about myself. So I'm Tomas Byčkovas, I'm from Lithuania, and I work for Tušti Narvai, and it's part of Anima International. And I do corporate work there, corporate outreach work. And as I said, I would like you to invite for a couple of questions, to discuss. So the questions are, do we have guts? And can animal advocacy be both cool and effective? In the beginning, I will share, a little bit more about myself and my experience on corporate outreach. And then I'll go for, campaign wehaveeggs, which we have implemented in Lithuania. And at the end, we'll have a question and answer session. So to start, I have graduated from business information management, and after graduating from university, I understood that the commercial sphere is really not mine. So I decided, to just quit my job and start traveling and develop myself and discover myself to, just understand who am I and what are my values and what I want to do. About 2 years ago, I decided, okay, that's enough. I settled down and I was looking for a job. And then I came across a job offer by Tušti Narvai for corporate outreach manager. And I thought to myself, well, it's quite a good match because I had some education in business as well. My parents and my brother are from business background. And as well, this job at animal welfare organization was very good in line with my values, because I thought, that we should take care of animal rights, and it's a change for good. So, I applied, and yeah, I got the job, and I was very happy because, well, I'm going to be like a hero fighting for an animals and fighting for a good cause to change the world for better. So I got into the training, and after some weeks, I got engaged with the first company. And that company was Kempinski Hotel. My colleagues before, who were working at the same position, have been already in contact with them. So when I started talking with them, they answered for a few calls and few mails, but then they started ignoring me, and they would not answer to my emails or my calls. So as I was trained, I started putting pressure. So I've sent them a letter. We're gonna start a campaign in a week. And that really stressed me because I was putting on somebody a pressure. And, in 1 week, they would not reply to me. So as trained, I wrote them the second letter, and the second letter was informing them that campaign will start tomorrow. So I was really stressed because it was first campaign, and as well, I felt that I'm putting more pressure on somebody. So I did not sleep quite well that night, and I was really happy to wake up in the morning and find email in my box. And Kempinski was stating that, well, they really care about animal welfare, so they're gonna go cage free. And but for my surprise, they did not want to go public. They just agreed to send me letter, which was signed by the CEO. But anyway, that was my first commitment that I got, and I felt like a hero. I'm doing some positive change, and I was continuing my job, and you know, uh, communicating with companies, and if something would not work out, try to put the pressure on them. And quite after some time, I understood that this image of me being kind of a hero who is fighting a good cause and changing world for better was not the same image that the representatives of businesses had in their heads. And their image of me was quite different. It was like more, well, he's like a vampire. So, I thought to myself, well, what's wrong with you people? I'm fighting for a good cause. I want to change the world for better. And I'm showing you the facts that animals are suffering in farms. And, every empathic and wise person would join the cause and really help to change the world for better. But instead, I saw that they have very different image of me. So yeah, I was starting thinking, well, what's wrong with them? What's not good? And I tried to examine, what's going on. So I asked myself, well, what I was saying to them. So when I started communicating with them, and after some time our communication would not work out, I would ask them something like, is that your official position on this issue? So it is kind of a putting pressure on them. And if that would not work out, well, I will write them a letter informing that campaign is in a week. Or if that would not work out, I would say, well, campaign is tomorrow. And, I got that this is the kind of strategy that I use, put a bit building pressure on them. And then I started, memorizing what they would say to me. And, they would say something like, well, you're forcing companies to commit. Or they would say, well, others are afraid of you. That's why they commit. Or something like, well, this way of cooperation do not meet our company values. And again, I understood, well, actually, I'm fighting for a good cause. And, I'm a respectful person. I'm a good person. And, I can't understand why you can't see that, I'm kind of a hero who is fighting for suffering animals. So I continued examining myself further, what was really inside me, what mindset I really had in myself. And I realized that image that I have on a representative of companies was quite the same image that they had on me. And actually I saw businesses like, also like vampires who is sucking bloods of poor animals. And I would see that they put their profits above animal welfare. And, this is the mindset that I had. And I remember when I first time uh, got to know that my organization, Tushtinavai, changed the logo from the one on the left to the one on the right, I was kind of disappointed because the one on the left was more kind of underground, more, grassroots, and it kind of ignited this rebel inside me. And, I like that kind of, energy. And the one which was the new logo, it was kind of more positive, more kind of establishment style, and more kind of, friendly with this chick in the logo. So, I understood that I had quite strong mindset against the companies. And then examining, all my communication with the companies, I realized that actually what I was doing is actually I was telling them, well, you are bad, you know, you're bad people.
Tomas,
Because, yes?
I don't want to interrupt you. I'm sorry for interrupting you, but were you supposed to share a presentation or not? Because you are not sharing any slides.
Yes, it's not there.
No. You shared it
Oh, I'm
before,
sorry.
but then it ended, so we are just listening. But
Can
no,
you hear it now?
no.
Can you see it now?
No.
Ah, okay. Thank you for telling.
Because I wasn't sure. I thought that first you will just be talking, then you show some slides, but
No, I was having slides.
okay.
Do you see now?
Yes, now I see it. Cool. Thank you.
Oh, so
Sorry again for the interruption.
you didn't see all those
No,
cool
but it
pictures
was
that
also
I
it was
put.
still very. You can still go through them, but it was still very interesting. So don't
Yeah,
worry, it was still very interesting.
yeah, good. So just a second, I'll try to put the full screen view. Is it, can you see it now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So here are the cool pictures that I was showing. So this is me being a hero and, you know, fighting for a good cause. And then all this, you know, situation with Kempinski and me hero again. And this is the image that I think that representative of companies have on me. And yeah, I talked about the, what I was saying to them and what they were saying to me. And then again, that was not matching this image of hero. And this is my mindset about companies. And this is the logo that was switched from one to another. And yeah, and this is like, you know, when I realized what kind of a mindset I have. And, you know, I realized that in my communication with the companies, I actually had this line of, you know, thinking, well, you are bad, you know, because you are not understanding that there is a problem in the animal welfare and then in the farms. So, you know, then I thought to myself, well, it's really kind of hard for them to really realize and learn the situation about animal welfare if somebody comes to them pointing finger and saying, well, you know, you are bad. So, you know, it's quite obvious that they can become defensive and ignorant quite soon because, you know, when I try to learn something and, you know, it takes some time to understand the things and somebody comes from side and points at me finger and says, well, you're really bad, you're stupid because you can't understand things. So, you know, so I was started thinking, okay, you know, of course it can work and it works because companies commit to animal welfare policies. But I was thinking, well, maybe I also can add something more. Maybe I can use some different tools to talk with companies and how it's possible to, you know, have a positive communication with businesses when we kind of have this image of each other like vampires or like enemies. So I thought that the best way is to find, you know, somebody who would facilitate or moderate between us. So I came with the idea that it would be good, you know, to use some celebrity and, you know, to speak with the lips of celebrity and the face of celebrity about animal welfare and invite companies to address the problems in animal welfare. So, you know, simultaneously, I was doing the job that I was doing before, putting pressure on companies, but simultaneously, I was developing something more. And, you know, during one meeting with Lidl, it's a retail chain, and corporate affair director, you know, said to me, well, if you really want to influence representative of companies, you know, they really react to the actions of other companies. So another way, they are just copying what the other companies do. So that gave me kind of, a direction. Oh, okay. So if companies react, what other companies do? So I might try to work on it, but work on it in a kind of a positive way. So, just my first attempt was I developed the hashtag Easterwithoutcages because it was just before the Easter. And I invited companies which were already cage free to, put on social media about their animal welfare policy and, invite others to join. So there was not too much engagement into that, but that was kind of a first steps or the beginning that I was trying to do. Kind of, okay, let's invite those companies who are with us and kind of ask them to invite others to join them. So I had this idea and I, kind of thought, okay, how can I continue? So I really like that idea of taking some celebrity and kind of, speaking through that person about animal welfare. And I came across a woman. She's a, celebrity in Lithuania. She has her food TV show, and as well she writes books on cooking, and also she has a few restaurants. So I outreached those restaurants and they were really friendly and they said, well, yeah, we'd like to go cage free. And they switched in a month. So then I went back to the owner, this woman, and I said, well, we don't have usually this kind of communication with companies. Many times they treat us kind of, bad people. So maybe you would like kind of help us and promote from your side animal welfare. And she was kind and she really was supportive. And she said, yeah, let's do it. Let's try it. And my idea was that I wanted to make a video with her addressing, companies. And I would then put that video, attach it to the emails that I sent to business representatives. As I did not have, a lot experience in marketing or video making, I asked some help for, creative agency. And we ended up talking with one of the best copywriters in Lithuania. And I was surprised that they really agreed to do the job, kind of pro bono for free. So I thought, well, I go with this positive approach and people really agrees to do things for free because they like the idea and they want, really fight for the good cause. So after some time, um, these copywriters came back with the idea of using a hashtag wehaveeggs. And the idea was, kind of not to put pressure on companies, but kind of unite them and tell, well, as already we had over 100 companies who were committed, just to take others by telling, well, not that you are bad because you're not with us, but it's cool movement, you could join us. It's really good because we do something for a good cause. We change the world for better. And I need to explain a bit about this hashtag. So we have eggs. It's the direct translation from Lithuanian, but in English it would sound we have balls, because in Lithuanian this meaning has eggs and balls the same. So I knew that it's provocative, and I thought at the same time, well, it's cool because majority of society use it. And I was really aware that it has this negative connotation, of masculinity and superiority or the power. So I took some time to discuss with our community, with our volunteers and staff, just to somehow try to avoid this connotation. So we kind of came up with the idea to use it very boldly, like we have eggs which are not from cages. So still, it sounded like we have balls which are not from cages. So it was still catchy. And we also stated that we are not about, being in power or something, but just we are talking about animal welfare issues. So we agreed with the community so we could try this kind of way. And then I came back, I wanted to kind of see how the businesses would react to this kind of hashtag. So I came back to the same woman And I said, well, we got this, idea to use this "we have eggs." And what do you think, being woman, how you react to this? And she said, sure, I have balls. Let's do it. It's cool. So she really signed up for it. And uh, what happened that her assistant for marketing, she said, well, she was more skeptical. And she said, you're kind of fighting for a good cause, but this hashtag kind of devalues your cause. So I went to other businesses and talked to them, and most of them said, well, it's provocative. For sure, it will be heard. It can have some backlash, but, it's cool, and people will really hear it. So, having all this in mind, we decided to take risk and try kind of to be cool and use that hashtag. So we ended up, instead of having just one celebrity, we ended up having 18 celebrity cooks and food influencers who was really happy to join this cause and, kind of address this animal welfare problem. And they, kind of was very willing and happy to do that. So we as well were happy, well, if we address them with this kind of really positive way, they kind of really see the problem and they really want to, unite and join for the cause and try to solve it. So what was really good that some of the chefs who had their own restaurants, they agreed to publish commitments, uh, on their social media, saying that their restaurants are cage free. And that was really kind of, instead of trying to pressure them, we just told them, well, just let's unite, and they would agree. And as well, one of bakery reached out us and telling that they're interested in switching from caged eggs to cage-free eggs. So I thought that this kind of approach can really work. The only thing was sad that um, this campaign started just a week before the lockdown. So we had really plans to outreach more restaurants, asking them to join the cause. But as the lockdown came, they had more problems. So we just decided to not to do this at this time. But later on, we'll really use that kind of approach, asking them to join. And so we had over 35 posts on Instagram from different people, and then more than 20 on Facebook using that hashtag. And what was really cool that one of the chefs, also famous, he had TV show, and in a week after campaign he had this TV show and he appeared to be cooking eggs, doing something with eggs, and he talked about us and talked about our campaigns and kind of praised us for what we were doing. So we kind of started receiving a good feedback of what we were doing. And what was more, that before the starting campaign, we met with the president of Association of Lithuanian Restaurant Chefs and Confectioners, and she was kind of skeptical to, kind of address our cause. But when she saw all those positive posts from chefs, she came back herself to us and she said, well, I will really spread your message in our network among our members. And later I met with the father, which is a big bakery in Baltics representative, and she said to me, wow, I've heard this campaign that you had with those people, and the Rimi, which is one of the biggest um, supermarket chains in Lithuania. She told me that, oh, I've seen one, factory which was advertising your campaign, and they seem to be really proud of that they are with you. So it kind of, I started getting this good feedback from Remir representatives, which had really kind of bad image on us because 2.5 years ago, we made a campaign against Remir. And then there was the good news from President of Lithuanian Poultry Association. He really appreciated that we are kind of doing this kind of action because usually we would just blame them for, kind of treating animals bad in their farms. So all this kind of, gave me that, well, I can also get some positive feedback. And, that image that I had of being a hero, it kind of, was more strong. And I could see that maybe some those representatives also, instead of having this image of me being a vampire, they would see me as more like a hero, or they would see themselves as a heroes who are trying to solve the problems in animal welfare. And but I was really happy that after asking join chefs and food influencers, we went for the businesses. And firstly, we went for manufacturers. And I was really happy that the CEOs of big companies, they agreed to show their faces with that hashtag. And they would tell me, well, yeah, why we are in this, and we really want to see the market change. And these companies had already commitments, and they were willing to kind of advertise and invite others to join this cause. And so yeah, I started seeing, okay, they can really reply to me on this positive, and they can be my partners and help to change the market. And what was really cool, that this guy on the right, he's the CEO of one of the biggest bakeries in Lithuania. After this campaign, he reached out to me in a few weeks. And though his company had commitment for 2025, he said, we decided that we'll ditch cage eggs from next week. So that means he reduced this deadline for 5 years. And I would like to believe that this positive campaign really kind of influenced that he saw that he's really doing something positive, some good, uh, joining some good cause and changing the world for the better. So I was really happy that this kind of is working, and I was receiving good feedback, and that was really important for me, because I was tired from that, bad feedback that I would get in conversation with the representatives of businesses. So all this kind of showed me, well, it is possible to do something, in a positive way, not just putting the pressure, but it's possible to do something, kind of different way. And, I believe that still will have to make a pressure campaigns, because, just, it's not possible with some companies to do other way. But I think that should be also kind of, established mindset that we should also simultaneously do something which would bring more positivity in corporate outreach. And we are kind of wrestling with the companies and with the businesses. And we have to do that. It is kind of a fight sometimes, but I believe it's hard to do it all the time, because we still kind of get out of the resources, get out of the our energy. And for me, for example, it's really hard to stay all the time in the negativity. If I start receiving all the time just the negative feedback from CEOs, I kind of start to feel kind of, I get hard feelings. Though, I know that I'm fighting for a good cause, but if I get it too much, I kind of get, you know, hard. It's hard on me, though I want to see myself as a respectful person, as a hero. And, I start saying that I'm a vampire. So, it's hurting. So I believe that this kind of balancing, doing some positive campaigns, it was just an example. I believe that we can be really creative and find some different ways, can really help us balance, this negativity that we experience in corporate outreach. And as I've heard that in animal rights movement, this position of corporate outreach, it's kind of where the staff changes quite often. And I understand why, because, when we have to put a lot of pressure on others and others put on us a lot of pressure, it becomes hard after some time. So my question was at the beginning, so do we have guts? And, do we have guts to be likable? Do we have guts to be cool? And not just to be rebellious or fighters, but, we need also have to have guts to be cool and not to be afraid to be cool. So what I would really like you to do is, after hearing this presentation, would you be kind to open the chat box and put the answer to this question, yes or no? So let's take a few moments and put your answers. I would really like to see them. Oh, great. So wonderful. Yeah, so we do have guts, and I believe we can really find the ways, how to approach companies in a positive way, and keeping that, pressure campaigns as well. I think it's can be more helpful in the local scale because, it's kind of easier to create this positive atmosphere among the CEOs in local level. Might be harder to make it in the global level because, it's too big. But I believe that in the local sphere, in the countries, separate countries, it can be really helpful. So that was all from me. Thank you for your participation. If you like to connect with me, here are my contacts. And now we have some time for questions and answers.
Okay, thank you very much, Thomas. It was a very interesting presentation. I enjoyed quite a lot. So without further ado, let's go and see if there are any questions. Oh yeah, there are some questions. Just let me read them out loud to you and you can answer. So the first one is, how do you go about reaching out to companies? For example, do you ask your network for a contact person or do you send a general inquiry email to the company?
Well, usually I do my best to find, some decision maker if I got the clear question. And, because, it's very easy to ignore when you just send general letter. So I really try to find out about the person whom I contacting as much as possible. And what I've started recently doing is really networking on LinkedIn and trying to find the CEOs there to connect with them, telling them that, well, I'm working in an animal welfare uh, field issue, and I believe that some, questions are important to you as well. So I'll be sharing some important information on my profile, and I would like to connect with you. So then I kind of try to connect with people more. And then when I reach out, I have more information and try to use that information. And I really have changed my tone of communication before, because after just trading, I would go for this kind of, uh, standard letters. But I started kind of more improvising. And at the beginning, I really tried to reduce pressure as much as possible. And even not to mention that others have already made that and you are the only one who did not make. And just in the beginning, just try to start the conversation. And I think that really was helpful because, I thought, well, I have to show them pressure because maybe they will be stressed or maybe they kind of become scared. But then my brother, who is also kind of takes the high management position company, he said, well, yeah, you can do that, but do you really know how to use that emotion that CEO gets? And is it really, beneficial for you to get some feelings for him before really, getting to know each other? So before trying to, make person angry or make person scared or kind of feel the pressure, I really at the beginning just try to be neutral and professional. Yeah, I hope that answered your question.
Okay, the next question was, did I understand it correctly that you are contacting companies like you used to do? putting pressure on them, doing campaigns, etc.?
Yeah. I mean, when I was developing this cage, we have eggs. At the same time, I was talking with the companies and putting pressure on them. And yeah, I sometimes I can think that I'm kind of two-faced, but when I more establish this positive kind of campaign, I can show you, well, we did a lot of to invest our time in positive way approaching you, and after so long time, well, it's not working. So we also have other tools that we use, and I'm very sorry, but in this situation we have to use this kind of tool if we can't find a solution. So yeah, I would say that it's possible to use simultaneously both positive and both pressure campaigns.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, do you connect with companies on LinkedIn with your personal account or the organization account?
With my personal account.
Okay.
But it's my profile is totally for my kind of present job purposes, so I don't post anything else, just about my work there.
Okay. The next question, were you worried that your vegan supporters wouldn't like you working positively with companies that sell eggs?
I wouldn't say that we had a lot of in our community, because I really took a lot of effort to tell what a kind of strategy and how that could benefit. So I did not came and just like, I'll do this way. I was explaining why it could be beneficial. So, we had doubts more about kind of provocative way or trying to be cool, because before our image was more like fighters, rebels, and this kind of image was different, trying to be cool and a bit provocative. And so there was more, discussion on that. But even making with the pressure campaigns, we would get the commitments from from companies, that they would go for 2025 and go only for kind of not remove eggs, but just use more not cage eggs. So there is, and there were, and there is vegans who sell it that, well, what are you doing? The eggs, any eggs are bad. So this particular positive approach did not, kind of influence any kind of negative feedback from vegans.
Okay, thank you. The next question, what are the signs that you may have to apply pressure to a company?
Well, it's very clear when they do not answer for a long time. So, we send letters them, trying to meet them, trying to talk to them. And if it's, just total ignore, then, well, okay, I'll send you a letter informing that, I take this ignoring us as a position that you don't take animal welfare seriously.
Okay, the next one is, how does your meetings with businesses go? Do you mention any possibility of campaigning, or is it only talking about the benefits they may get?
I have not, if it's the, first meeting with the company, I just really kind of, the first thing I do is just a network to introduce myself and, to tell them who I am, and I'm the person like they are. And I try to see persons in them as well, and just kind of, explain what is what is this movement about and how big it is, and explain why this movement is here and what kind of support it gets from society, what from other companies, how it's worldwide. So I really, in the beginning of the communication, I avoid any kind of pressure, because it closes the person. He becomes defensive, and it's always, I can tell them what, just, it's very easy to send the letter of pressure. it's very little explanation need. And do we really know how to deal with the scared CEO? If he becomes scared, does he really understands the problem? And if he's scared and takes the commitment, what kind of actions would be when we come back for the other cause? Now we are in Lithuania working for caged eggs, and then we'll go to broilers. And if we have these CEOs who have are scared or they're angry on us, it will be much more harder to talk with them on broilers. And I really saw it when I went to supermarkets, and I talked with the representatives of me with whom we had campaign, and they kind of really did not like us, though they committed. And I was coming back with them to talk about expanding their commitment to their private label products, that they would not use caged eggs there. And so first thing that I do, I try to kind of warm up our relationship, and and show us not as a vampires but as a heroes, and that joining us they would be heroes as well.
Okay, thank you very much for your answer. The next question is whether you were a volunteer in the animal movement before your position.
No, I was not.
Okay. And the next one is, have you ever changed from working with a company to campaigning against them? And if so, why?
Could you please repeat the question?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Have you ever changed from working with a company to campaigning against them? And if so, then why?
Well, no, I did not have such a situation that, we would cooperate and then something would happen and we would start campaigning. Because I don't have so much experience in campaigning because I'm working just for 1.5 years. And, many times I would get just through communication with the companies or sending them, kind of threat letters, and they would, get it and commit. But I think that, but you can use that. I like, this kind of image of putting the pressure, like an oven. If it's not working, then you start putting the pressure on. So I would say, if people disrespect you, so then for sure you put the pressure, or if people start ignoring you, then you put pressure.
Okay, I see there are no more questions. So if nobody has any more questions, then I think we can end this presentation. And Tomas, thank you again. It was very good. And the next talk will start at 3:05. So I will see you guys here in 15 minutes. Thank you again.